Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 4, Episode 5, The Joy of Cooking of The Witcher. But before that, remember like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is Geralt and company right next to a giant river. This is the Yaruga. It basically separates Sintra and the other northern kingdoms. It is the reason Nilfgaard's attacks have kind of halted after Sintra. It is a pain to cross, and the other northern kingdoms can play a defensive war. Well, Geralt and company need to cross it if they're going to get to Nilfgaard. Milva is going to look for a way across, though she thinks that everyone would benefit from much needed rest. They barely escaped from the Redanian camp last episode. Jaskier has a head injury, and Geralt's leg is bothering him a lot. Geralt says they have wasted enough time, they need to get across now. They need to get to Ciri as soon as possible. Geralt returns to the others, and he and Kahir have a bit of a face-off. Geralt still does not like the man for what he did to Ciri, hunting her down. Kahir speaks of the dreams he is having of her. The same dreams Geralt is having. He is linked to her, even if Geralt does not want to hear it. Milva comes back saying that the crossing is completely washed out, so they will either have to wait it out or find another way across. We are now at Redania with Radovid. A prisoner in fear of getting hanged decides to talk about what he knows about Nilfgaard. Basically goes over the events of Season 3 and Ciri, but it wasn't the real one, it was the fake one. And Radovid knows it was a fake because the real Ciri was on Thanedd at the time. Radovid realizes that Nilfgaard does not have the real Ciri, but a fake. What Radovid chooses to do with this information is yet to be seen. The Redanian commander who was in the room decides to go to a brothel and tells one of the ladies about it. She then tells another lady who tells Skellen, the spy master for Nilfgaard. Skellen does not want this info getting out because it is going to ruin his plans to overthrow Emir. It is never really said how having Ciri killed and having Emir marry the fake one would get Emir overthrown. The only thing I could see is if you marry the fake one, and that info comes out after the fact, it would be bad for Emir. He lied to the people, and some of the other high Nilfgaard lords could revolt at being deceived. The people of Nilfgaard look at Emir like he is a god, that he was divinely chosen to be emperor. Having Ciri as a wife would only support that, since she is of the elder blood. Without her, Emir looks more like a normal man, and normal men can be ousted from the throne. We're back with Geralt and company. They're going to make a stew while they wait to cross the river. During this time, we get some backstory on some characters in the company. First, we find out why Yarpen and Zoltan aren't exactly friends. Zoltan owned a forge in Mahakam. Mahakam is a mountain range in a kingdom. It is inhabited by dwarves, gnomes, and halflings. Basically all the wee people. Zoltan would make weapons and Yarpen would deliver them to another dwarf named Bruver, who would then send them down to the dwarven front lines. Yarpen says that Zoltan was supplying both the humans and the dwarves in their conflict, profiting from both sides. Zoltan says this is hogwash, that Bruver was the one doing this. And when Zoltan found out, he stopped giving him weapons. This made Bruver very upset, so he set Zoltan's forge aflame, hoping the dwarf would die with it. But Zoltan did not die. He was able to get out after a few hours, but it was too late. Bruver spread a lie stating Zoltan was the one who was making weapons for humans. Nobody listened to Zoltan's side of the story. They thought he was a traitor to his own kind, which is why he left Mahakam. Yarpen is taken aback hearing this. He didn't know, and he is sorry for accusing Zoltan of being a traitor. It is Milva's turn to give her backstory, how she ended up in the Brokilon forest with the Dryads. When she was younger, she killed her stepfather. He was cruel and would sexually abuse her. She then survived on her own after that. She saved some Dryads from being executed and they took her in. After that, she would escort Scoil Tel to and from the forest. The Scoil Tel are the Elven Rebellion group, who is being armed by Nilfgaard to fight the northern kingdoms. She then tells them of the last mission she was on, how the Scoil Tel were having a party and she decided to join them, and she banged one of the elves. Anyways, the next day they were ambushed and they were slaughtered. Milva was heartbroken. She decided to take a step back from that job and found a new task, to help Geralt recover from his fight with Vilgefortz, and the rest is history. The next story is from Jaskier, specifically from his poetry book. He plans on writing a book of poems, saying that he's getting old and he won't be around forever, but his stories might be. He would like to leave something in this world for people to remember him by. Jaskier starts singing and we get like a musical number, and I'm not gonna lie, I loved every second of this. And it has one of the funniest lines in the show, at least to me. Zoltan asks if the entire thing will be a song, and Jaskier, slightly offended at the question, says, "Yes, bitch." I laugh so hard at this. Anyways, we see a younger Jaskier with his shorter hair and Geralt. They are in Oxenfurt, and everything is very brightly colored. Geralt is already commenting how he remembers their times there slightly different. Jaskier has the flair for the dramatics though, so some of the events may be exaggerated. Jaskier meets Valdo Marx, who is Jaskier's biggest rival, but this is before he became famous. He's still dressed in rags. Jaskier saw potential in him and decided to mentor him. He brought him back to his place and dressed him. He then showed Valdo his songbook, saying maybe they could work together on a song, do a duet. This was a bad idea. Valdo stole his songbook and became famous off those songs, leaving Jaskier in despair. But he finishes saying that the stories in this book will outlive Valdo and whatever songs he stole. The dwarves give him a standing ovation. It is quite the tale and performance. Some people may say this doesn't really match the Witcher vibes. I wholeheartedly disagree. Geralt always finds himself in weird circumstances. In the game, he literally is in a play. I think this works and fits Jaskier's character. We hear some more clapping coming from the bushes. Regis appears also quite pleased with the story. Everyone stands back from him. We found out last episode he is a vampire, so people are a bit freaked out. Geralt is annoyed that he is here, but Regis tells him he just wants to check on Jaskier to make sure he is okay. He gives Jaskier a few stitches and he takes a look at Geralt's leg. Geralt begrudgingly agrees to it. He barely can walk right now, so he needs something. Regis puts some kind of paste over it. Regis and Geralt talk during this. Regis asks how high the bounty would have to be on him for Geralt to accept it, and he says it would have to be very high. He doubts anyone would have enough coin for Geralt to risk it. Regis is a higher vampire. They are basically immortal beings, and this conversation shows how dangerous they can be. Geralt wouldn't really even consider going after him, knowing the risk is far too great. Regis finds this curious, that most Witchers wouldn't even think twice before trying to dispatch him. He thinks Geralt is in a state of flux, that he's experiencing emotions that he would normally ignore. He's becoming something more, something new. He is more than just a cold-hearted Witcher now. He's becoming more human. Regis is about to leave when Zoltan asks to hear his story. Regis obliges. He first states that he does not like to drink blood anymore, to kind of put everyone at ease. Then we hear his backstory. Presently, he is 428 years old. He tells them how vampiric society works, that most take what they want due to the fact they are immortal. If you don't partake, you risk becoming an outcast. Regis says he always tried to stay away from human blood, but the euphoria you get when it's fresh, there's nothing like it. It's described as what being drunk is like. Anyways, Regis kind of went on a bender. Blood was his life. But then one evening when he was sent to get blood, he met the most extraordinary woman, Bethane, a human gal. He fell in love almost immediately. He cleaned up his act and stopped drinking blood. But one day she never returned home. He went looking for her and his vampiric brethren took her, saying he was playing with his food. They started feeding on her when he walked into the building. Seeing this, Regis lost control and killed them all. He still recalls Bethane's face watching in horror at what he was doing. She died in his arms. The villagers came in and killed Regis. They cut off his head and threw him in a grave. But higher vampires are harder to kill than that. They regenerate. Only a higher vampire can kill a higher vampire. Even if a witcher or mage fought one, the most they could do is hurt it. It would regenerate back to full strength eventually. Could be months or years, depending on how badly they were injured. Regis, for example, stayed in that grave for 50 years. Anyways, that is why he does not drink blood anymore, because of Bethane. The company sits down and starts to eat. It seems they have accepted Regis back into the company, knowing he won't harm them. Percival then has a weird memory of himself. He's surrounded by dead bodies and he is wearing jewels, and he starts laughing, but he won't share with the rest what it is about. I don't know, apparently he had a bloodlust too back in the day. Kahir is now up to tell his backstory. We find out that he is not actually a Nilfgaardian, just happened to grow up somewhere very near to Nilfgaard. We hear of the first mission Kahir ever did for Emperor Emhyr, but this was far before he was an emperor, and Kahir was still a child. We see Kahir as a child. He is from a noble house. His father was being a bit of a jerk to him, trying to teach him the ways of being a real man. Kahir runs off into the woods to be away from him, where he meets an old man. The man asks him to bring food to a cave every day for a couple of weeks. Kahir agrees since he was going to be paid for it. One day, however, some bandits tried stealing the food from Kahir. As Kahir struggled with them, the man who he was bringing food for came out of the cave to fight them off. He almost looked like a hedgehog. Geralt, hearing this, is confused since he knows someone who looked like a hedgehog, Duny, who married Pavetta and is Ciri's biological father. Kahir says he kinda just forgot that the whole thing happened. But years later, when he was training to become a soldier, Emhyr, now the emperor at the time, came and found him. He thanked Kahir for his help all those years ago, and Emhyr asked him to help him on a very important mission, the mission to find Ciri. Geralt rises in anger and starts pacing. Nobody other than Kahir knows why he's upset. Geralt explains to the company that the Hedgehog Man was known as Duny before, and he switched his name to Emhyr at some point, which means Emhyr is Ciri's father and he plans on marrying her. Kahir says that Vilgefortz is the one who turned Emhyr on to this idea, to fulfill Ithlinne's prophecy. Ithlinne's prophecy is about the end of the world and that the person born of the Elder Blood will either help destroy it or bring renewal. Emhyr wants his child to fulfill Ithlinne's prophecy and then will rule a reborn world. Now you may be asking yourself, isn't Ciri his child? Why does he have to get all incestuous with it? Which is what I'm saying. But according to Nilfgaard scholars on the matter, Ciri is the seed, and her son will be the one to rule the world. And according to Nilfgaard priests, only a father and daughter of elder blood could have a child pure enough for the prophecy. Now Emhyr has no elven genes and he is not a carrier of elder blood. But once again, according to the priests, incest concentrates the elder blood, which means their child will be pure. Now, the original prophecy never actually mentions any of the father-daughter stuff. This is purely a Nilfgaard Emhyr thing. All the prophecy says that the child will be born of Laura Dorn's line, who Ciri is a descendant of. Emhyr basically twisted this whole thing to fit him in it. This seems like a lot of steps. Just admit you want to bang your daughter, bro. He went to such lengths to make this happen. He's like, well, I mean, if I have to do it, prophecy and all, I totally don't want to. Anyways, Kahir says that they are linked by destiny, all of them. They are all here because of it, the randomness of it, that there is a grander thing at work happening right here. Geralt does not want to hear it. He's just trying to save Ciri. Geralt has always tried denying destiny. He did it right away with denying Ciri's existence. Geralt walks off and thinks about Ciri, a happy memory. He's actually doing her hair and he talks about how he wanted to be a knight when he was a boy. Ciri says knights have to trust their sovereigns and Geralt doesn't trust anyone. Ciri believes it's because trust leads to emotion, which Geralt at the time wanted to ignore. After Geralt is done with her hair, she says she trusted him and it turned out great. Sometimes trusting people can lead to wonderful things. Before we go back to the current timeline, Ciri knights Geralt with a mirror. I think it's a cool scene. Anyways, it is the next morning, and after reflecting on this, Geralt decides he's going to trust his company of friends. He's going to let them in and see what happens. We are now with Skellen speaking with fake Ciri. She's being stubborn about learning proper etiquette, especially now since they know she's not the real Ciri. Skellen tells her she needs to act, and if she plays her cards right, maybe she'll be queen one day. So this is almost like a wink. Like there are no guarantees they find the real Ciri, and she will have to fulfill that role then. Fake Ciri kinda likes the sound of being queen, so she will start acting more like it. We're now with Vilgefortz. He is torturing Fringilla. So it seems he does know that she was spying for Yennefer. She holds out as long as she can, but she gives up where the other mages are hiding. Vilgefortz exits the room, and Fringilla FaceTimes with Yennefer, letting her know he is coming. So the mages will have to get ready fast for an attack. And that is the end of the episode. What did you think of it? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Witcher content, please subscribe and like the video. Check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.